With 2026 quickly approaching, it is time to say goodbye. After 48 years, the Supra is going to be discontinued after 2026. My name is Aiden with Upper James Toyota, and today we've got a pretty unique trim level for this last generation Supra. So stay tuned and let's check it out. If you guys are in the market for a new or used vehicle, do not forget to click the link in the top of our description. Now let's talk final edition Supra, and I'm gonna be starting with this unbelievable paint. Now, even with a cloudy day, this matte white paint looks unbelievable. This is going to be one of two color options on this final edition Supra. It's either matte white or matte black. I really do like the white, and I love it because there are certain features on this vehicle that you cannot get on a typical Supra. Now, this package alone, people have been asking me, okay, Aiden, is it performance? Is it a different engine? Is it more turbos? Whatever the case is, there really is no performance under the hood. It's basically all cosmetics and small little tweaks and changes that they have made. I'll be starting off with one of my favorites. That's going to be these new forged alloy wheels. Now, typically on the premium 3.0 Supra, you get a gun metal, which is kind of like a dark gray. And I like the fact that they stuck with an all black wheel. I also like the fact that they have increased rotor size. You get 1 inch bigger on this final edition Supra. Again, something very, very small, but there are 18 minor changes that they have added, which could be, you know, stiffer suspension, different bushings here. I can go over that list in a little bit for you. But a couple other really cool features on the outside that I love. We're starting with these mirror caps. I love the fact that Toyota has integrated something very different, and I like how it kind of rounds out the vehicle a little bit better. I love the fact that these red mirror caps match your red brake calipers. And then I take another step backwards, and you see they have now added this pretty cool sticker of a GR inspired logo on both sides of the vehicle. And again, it's just that one little touch that I think makes this side profile of the Supra pop out just a little bit more. And I think it's pretty unique that they have added that on for the final edition. Lastly, one of my favorite pieces they have added is this forged matte black carbon rear spoiler. I love it. I think it's a really cool addition that they have put on this package, simply because I actually see a lot of Supras, you know, driving around, and a lot of people do opt in to buy an aftermarket rear carbon fiber spoiler. And I love the fact that Toyota has just decided to include it. Now, I love the fact when I say they've decided to include it, because this package stands about $14,000 more than just the premium manual or automatic, depending whatever way you're going, but in and around a $14,000 price jump. You guys can let me know if you will be paying that. And how could I forget one of the coolest things Toyota has ever decided to do with a last edition vehicle? They typically will limit these for a very small amount for obviously North America, and more specifically Canada, because that is where we are located. And now we have had some pretty rare additions in the last few years. We had the return of the Hakone edition GR86. We had the Morizo edition GR Corolla. Now, that was one of the really interesting ones because you had to actually enter a lottery to win that vehicle. You had to contact Toyota and say, hey, this is a reason why you should be allowing me to purchase this vehicle from your manufacturer. Now, this one's also very, very similar, but the rarity of this is crazy. So you open up your door, you're about to jump in, and you look at this little plaque that is situated just beside where I guess your left knee would go. And it says you are limited to 25 units. Now, that is the unit amount for Canada. And I've been doing a little bit of research to try to see what the United States are getting. Typically, they do get a far amount more of these very limited edition vehicles than us here in Canada. However, I couldn't actually get the confirmed amount. And if anyone knows that, please let me know. I was seeing some websites and some reports saying they get 300, which is definitely significantly more than what we get. I also saw a couple that were in the 4, 5, and also north of 800 range. So if you do know that answer, please drop a comment down below, because I'll be interested to see what it actually is. All right, guys, welcome on into the inside of this final edition Supra. Now, one of my favorite features on the inside are going to be these, which are Finally, Toyota has integrated a red seatbelt option. Now, this is actually how the vehicle is configured. You can't exactly go to the factory and say, hey, please spec my vehicle with these red seatbelts, but I am hopeful that down the road on some of maybe our more performance-based vehicles, they will offer a different seatbelt color, because I think it's just the small little touches, and it's not going to be breaking the bank for the consumer or for the manufacturer. And I think a lot of people would actually opt in just to get something a bit different than, say, something that's black. That's just my opinion. You guys could let me know down below. Now, specifically on this, very, very limited unit, there only are two things you can customize on this final edition Supra, and that's going to be your color of paint. So your two color choices, the matte white or the matte black. And I love the fact that, the white just, I think, pops a little bit more over the black. Obviously with the black wheels, I think the white is definitely, a more well-rounded option. Now, if I were offered either of them, I would be taking it. Obviously, just with that limited unit number of only 25 in Canada, I would take anything that Toyota offered me at that point. But I will be touching on a couple things on the inside of this that I think, Toyota has definitely done very well with. Starting off with number one, I love the fact that they have still kept the carbon fiber on your interior dash. Now, I like it, but I also wish they did something different, because I really wish that they matched this gloss black carbon with the matte black carbon that is on your rear spoiler. I just think it's a small touch like that that really, would round off this a little bit better. Now, I understand why they wouldn't do that, simply because getting any scratches out of a matte carbon interior is going to be very, very difficult. Obviously, it is a surface you could scratch up a little bit easier, and I think that obviously having this gloss option on the inside of this one could obviously make it a little bit easier and could prevent some things going wrong down the road for you. The other thing I will be mentioning that I really do like about this is that it only comes as your 6-speed manual. Now, obviously, you could get a Supra in an 8-speed automatic, and I have driven both before. And I really do love both. Obviously, my daily driver is a GR86, which is, the much slower version of this one in front of me today without the turbo. And I love the fact that, it is a 6-speed manual. I think it's still pretty cool that they're offering this vehicle in manual, and it's the only way this final edition will be configured. With that being said, the other really big thing that I think they've excelled in on the interior are going to be these seats. Now, I've mentioned this before, and I've always thought that the standard, Supra seat is that full leather. I really have not been a fan of it. I think they're comfortable, but just looks-wise, I wish it was just something a little bit different. And I love the fact they've integrated more Alcantara on the center of the seat. They've definitely still allowed you to have leather on the outside and the outsides of kind of where, your bolstering would go for the actual seat. I think, keeping yourself planted in a vehicle that puts down this much power and that, really would like to be on a track, I think that's pretty cool. But I just love the fact that they've added all this Alcantara with red and white stitching, the GR badge on top of your, headrest. They have really excelled. Now, with this package being here versus, say, a standard Supra, people are gonna be asking, well, Aiden, what's worth, that $14,000 jump? Now, I did have to bust out a little list for this one because 18 differences was a lot for me to remember. And I'm gonna be touching on a few points that I think are pretty interesting. Now, I've already talked about the front rotors, the mirror caps, the paint, the GR badging on the side, the stickers, the rear gloss, or no, the rear, okay, I'm gonna cut that there. The rear matte carbon fiber spoiler, but a couple other things just to note. Obviously, red seatbelts, you saw, that's one of my favorites. Toyota's gonna say it's got stiffer bushing control arms, stiffer rear suspension mounts. You're gonna have GT4 graphics, you're gonna have GR embroidered front headrests. The red seatbelts, of course, Alcantara sport seats, leather shift knob, matte black rear Supra emblem, cup holder covers, and a GR camo car cover with storage bag. Now, I'm assuming I know what that is. Simply, it's a silk car cover that would go on top of this. Obviously, it's almost winter time for us, so we don't really have that, and we can't show that right now. I hope we can find a picture to show it online, because I have seen one photo of it, and it looks pretty cool. However, I look on the inside of this, and sure, it's really neat to be very rare and one of 25. But for the consumer, you must really, really love the Supra in order to be spending $14,000 more for this package. You guys can let me know. All right, guys, to wrap things up on this final edition Supra, we talk price. Now, this is where things get pretty interesting. This is gonna be the most expensive Supra Toyota has ever decided to produce, with a sticker price at $83,507. That is MSRP for this 2026 in the Canadian market. Obviously adding freight, PDI, tax, licensing, and all of those fun things. It's still a pretty good penny for what you're actually getting, and obviously the rarity factor definitely comes through with this being one of 25. Now, if you guys did like this video, please do not forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss any more of our future Toyota related content, and I'll check you guys out in the next video.